Jesse Fats, Nick, Joe, what's up? Oh, what are you guys doing on the bottom screen here? All right, here we go. I don't know what happened there. Daddy, what's up, Chuck? Man, yeah, I thought I'd go live, man. Update the charts, update AMC, SPY, crypto, the whole deal. And I'll be covering and going over some pretty dope indicators um, that I've been using to spot these reversals in the market, man. Matt, what's good, man? All right, bro. Why did I think today was Thursday? What am I on? All right, guys. So real quick, the all-in-one indicator. I'm using it right now on the hourly time frame. I've got 1,000 bars. I'm comparing so we can see the entire crypto market here. Is we've got over 100 cryptos overlaid on this chart, and it basically just shows you the comparison, the change, the rate of change between each one, and that way we can see the entire crypto market. Not based on price, but percent change is just a better way to view everything. So, Ordinals has been just killing it here on this crypto rally. Ordinals has a correlation with tracking with Pepe, and why I posted that Pepe video, because I think that everything's going to start pumping here soon. But just in the short term, I just want to show you guys why this indicator is freaking awesome. So you can see everything's pretty much flat here, but based on, and this is, well, I'm on the 15-minute time frame. I'm going to go on the 5 and show you guys how this works. But just based on the entire crypto market right now, the one cryptocurrency that is well, there's two that are catching my eye, and that is, it's Doge. So you can see right here, Doge in this like turquoise color is up. Oh, wait, no, this is Doge up here. So here's Doge. Okay, so Doge and EDU, they're both climbing up, about to reverse back up. But the one I'm tracking right now for a lot of upside is SNX. SNX right now is up on the 5-minute time frame, 11.5%, and you can see it's killing it here. Like the entire crypto market looks the same. It's doing the same pattern, except SNX and EDU. They're both they have a very slanted pattern, or very inclined. To see upside, I see this one absolutely ripping in the next few days. We can do this in the stock market as well. Right now in the market, we have big. That's beating the market right now. on the daily time frame, this thing is up over 4,000%, which is just crazy. Basically doing what Mara did back here in July. But man, this thing is not stopping. It's just, and then like we come all the way down here, right? And we get to the whole like, which stocks are just not doing good. Unfortunately, AMC is up here or is down here again, which I'm going to go over here and kind of talk about it. On the hourly time frame, things look a little different, but again, AMC is down here, is extremely oversold. And then, big is up here. So I just wanted to kind of show that first before kind of going over Amy here and the overall market. Tramadol Nick. Yeah. Doing the markets, man. Doing the markets. Okay, so what I see happening on AMC in the long term, so I think it is going to trade sideways for quite some time. Here is the deal, man, because things broke down very quickly, and we were tracking a few reference patterns that were all calling for upside up to this point here. And, unfortunately, because things we don't get volatility unless we're inside the that 13-day window. Right up here in the middle on the blue pattern, we just came down, and now we're just kind of trading sideways. So pretty much what I had just mentioned and said here is like if we trade below the 650 range, I mean, guys, AMC's price right now is technically, from what we know, trading at 70 cents, right? You just do AMC divided by 10, and that's basically the price. Now, I know there has been dilution, and there's been some other factors that make this number slightly different. But from what we know is like the price went from $70 basically down to 73 cents. And that's insane. That's crazy. Fell into that range. And now we're just kind of trading sideways. Do I see AMC going up in the future? I do. I think there's a lot of correlation with some of these like macro pump and dumps. Okay, so it's just a massive pump and dump, comes back to August 2020 levels. And there's a lot of charts that have done this in the past. One of them being NVAX. Okay, NVAX has done this multiple times, and it's one of the ones that you could say, okay, similar to this, it takes a few years to develop. I do have a pattern overlaid, actually, and I think it's the only one that makes sense based on the tracking right now. If we pull it up, this is NVAX right here. But so it does the whole pump and dump thing, and then it comes down, it accumulates down here, and then it starts to go, it starts to rip you, right? The entire crypto market is doing this. It's doing it first, though. And that's the thing about the current tracking, the current cycle is these are ugly things that just happen in the markets. And unfortunately for AMC, it just never came up and never crossed, previous levels of resistance. And that's just a hard truth, right? AMC just never was able to do that. And they were able to bring it down to these levels, which now means that it's likely going to trade down here for a few weeks, potentially months going into next year before it does anything. And until that point, I mean, this is why I take a look at the crypto markets. I take a look at the stock market because it does, have to do with AMC in the end. We come back. I'll go over some of the things that I think are happening because I think the most potential right now in the markets I think is in the crypto markets because Bitcoin is already, it's pumping up to the 40K range. I think it's gonna keep going. We have been tracking the gold pattern from 1974, and that one's been extremely accurate right now. It's showing the same market cap. in terms of inflation. Um, uh, you know, based on the inflation, man, I asked ChatGPT and everything. I was like, yo, take into account inflation, what it was back then to what it is now, and it literally said, man, on the peak it was 1.2 trillion dollars, which is the same thing gold did back in 1974. And the economy right now is behaving in a similar fashion, I feel like. So going into the 1985, you get that massive like crash, and then things kind of turn around, start pumping back up, very similar. And then you look at these these cryptocurrencies that are just pumping. For example, Loom, right? This was a pump and dump. What happened before this pump and dump? So we don't have Binance is supposed to have this data. I don't know why it doesn't. Let's see which ones do. Here we go. Look at this. Okay. 2018. This thing dumps like crazy. Comes back up in 2021. Trades sideways. Keeps dumping, accumulates, and then boom, it pumps again. Okay, this is just one example. There's many cryptocurrencies that are doing this right now. And it's just to show that what happens in the crypto market sometimes happens before, these over leveraged positions right now. Because in the crypto markets, I think it's a lot easier to do this, being that it's not regulated, or at least it's not regulated as much as the market. And you get all these very odd things happening. So I think, we're going to get like a Doge and Shiba surge at some point as well, later in the game. But I think right now the newer cryptocurrencies are what are expected to pump next. And yeah, man, with that, dude, SPY. So with SPY crossing resistance very quickly, doing it very quickly. Previously, the most recent SPY video I posted was calling for this upside here. And then from there, if it was going to come down, it would have done it very quickly. So the fact that things are still pumping here, we're starting to get back into that oversold territory. There's one indicator I use for this. It's called levels. And you guys might be able to, you can see it on the display here. But basically, it just highlights there's 4 levels here, and there's 4 bands, and it highlights the levels that are oversold and overbought for potential pullbacks in the market. So I'm on the daily here, and there's really only been one instance where it happened very quickly, and we're taking a look at August 2022, where the markets came down, right, on that first level, and very quickly got up to that oversold territory before pumping all the way back down, which is looking very similar to what is happening right now. Like, the markets are just not stopping. They want to keep going. If we go outside of this territory for a few weeks into December, which is starting to look like that now that we have this green candle developing here, and we're not coming down to fill this gap, then we might get a similar pattern. Oversold, comes back, breaks resistance at 460, gets very close to all-time highs, but maybe not just quite there. I think that they're going to struggle to break this for at least a few months, and then I think going into next year, we should have a bullish market. Now that war talks and everything are kind of cooling down, and all that propaganda, man, all that propaganda. I think that the markets here should be. I mean, in the long term, I think war is going to pump the markets here. But I think just in general, the fear and everything can sometimes lead to short term, dumps and stuff like that. But that's always in the talks in between, like the way this the chart develops and is structured sometimes. So why I think, man, crypto markets getting ready to do their thing. Let's see. Pull up Pepe. Talk about the correlation, man, with Pepe. Guys, this wick, man, this wick on Pepe on the Ethereum. This is the wrapped ether. So this is like before Pepe was tradable on Binance, on these leverage um, apps and stuff. It was trading on the swap contracts, which is basically where they all start, or at least most of them do. Some of them do start on the perpetual futures and those exchanges and stuff, but those already, like, right off the bat, they're very scammy to me, because it's just like, boom, you start off automatically manipulating that. And where it comes, the swap contracts are a little bit more decentralized, and they give access to retail really before it gets into the hands of these these big players. So why this thing pumped from zero, literally from zero, all the way up to man, I can't even tell you the percentage it was, but it's heading back to the levels that we talked about. Pepe, we've been tracking for a while. We called the POI to happen in October, in May, which it did. And then now it's trading sideways into November time. So I think Pepe is going to start climbing up going into December time, and I think it's going to do the same thing Shiba did, which we can see right here on this pattern. Now, if we take it from here, problem with this chart is that it does lack some data, quite a bit of it too, and you can line it up whichever way you want. I think this is the most accurate, is because we are also using the swap pattern on Shiba, which is very different from the original Binance chart. And you can see right here, like, we'd be in this like mid stage right here, right? But the levels are not the same. Like, this thing pumped a lot quicker. Shiba pumped a lot quicker than Pepe. So it's very possible that, and look at this wick, dude. This is the thing that is getting me, is on that first level, like this. I don't think this wick is an accident. Every time we get this like wick going up to these crazy levels, at some point I feel like the price just goes all the way up there. Like, I don't know what the algorithm was doing here, man, but this wick is just like, why, dude? Why did it go all the way up to 40? And it's crazy because those were the levels we were calling for too, for like Pepe to get up there. In 40. Anyways, okay, levels on the hourly already oversold, which is good. The correlation between Pepe and the levels indicator on these oversold ranges is pretty good. So, for example, here on the hourly, right? The only time that I do, like, I'll wait. I'm not gonna go in right away as it hits in, but once it comes in, that's where the correlation is pretty good. For example, back here, okay, it never comes back in to the bands. It always just if it stays out for a little bit of time, you start to see a lot of red or purple. Okay, that's usually an indicator that it's going to keep going down. But if it's just a wick, man, if you just get like a little bit of a wick and it comes back in, okay, that is the opportunity. And you can see right here, it's doing that. It just came in, it's coming back out. Or it just came out, it's coming back in. So I think from here, Pepe is expected to climb and keep going. And finally do its thing, because, yeah, this thing's just been trading sideways. Here's a cycle map I had, and here we had accumulation, advancing, reaccumulation. Here's the pattern, and it is delayed now. It's delayed a little bit. We had the reaccumulation part correct, and then now here in advancing, it seems like this is going to be spread out a little bit. So it's coming down to test some, some levels of support, and then liquidating a bunch of people on the way down, because that's what the crypto game does. It's just liquidating, man, liquidating back and forth. And then right here, just out of nowhere, man, this thing is going to start to pump. Just pump it. Pump it, man. No, don't pump it. But like, it's probably I think it's going to start to pump very soon. This thing has a lot of juice left. A lot of juice left, man. No, but like that, dude. Like out of any of the cryptocurrencies that I'm tracking right now, the reason why Pepe caught my eye was because, like, we tracked the correlation, guys, with Shiba back in May, and it followed to a T going into October. Here it got delayed a little bit, but it just shows, man, that these guys, like, they bring it to Binance. They, it goes crazy on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever. And then everybody starts to buy, and then they just rug it. And now this is the accumulation phase that we're talking about here. They accumulate everything here. It starts to pick up on more applications, more brokers start to get in. And now the narrative, right, is the crypto markets are, this, and that with XRP, Bitcoin. And bro, at this point, look at Ordinals, man. Ordinals is, like, on the Discord, man, we had called this to a T down here, that this was going to go all the way up and cross resistance. The same thing Pepe did, right? Back in May. Ordinals already did it. It went up here, or like Pepe's basically right here right now. It 1x'd, okay? Ordinals 10x'd already. It went from $3 to $30. And dude, it's probably not even done is the thing. Like, this thing is probably going to keep going. That's the crazy part about all this, man. Here's levels. That fourth band, like, it's not even close to it. That's, like, this thing can keep going. Like, it can literally 1x again. It can go to 60 and then come down. A lot of these cryptocurrencies that dump, and once you break that high, I mean, it's just coming down to that high, but once you break it, it's like if the price started to go up from there in the beginning, like, how much you can keep pumping it, man. Like, these guys can keep pumping it. I think it's and part of the reason why this started to pump in the first place was because it was added to or like the narrative, right? Catalyst was that they have Binance started to trade perpetual futures or futures for Ordinals, but also Ordinals is the NFT version of Bitcoin through Bitcoin, which is very different from NFTs. Is backed by Ethereum, so it's like the new NFT backing system, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, man. Freaking Ordinals. All right, let's look at the market. So intraday real quick, guys, all in one. Again, I update this every single time I'm on here, so you guys can see the breakouts in the markets. For example, we did it with crypto already. I already talked about SNX. I know a few of you are coming in, but I think in the next few days, the ones that I'm tracking right now, the cryptocurrencies I'm tracking, and I just made a POI tracker here, which should be on this POI. There it is. Okay, so here's my little POI list here in the next few next few days. Is that even correct? Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 18th. SNX, IMX, and MDT. These are my top 3 cryptocurrencies that I'm tracking in the next few days. I think all of these they're starting to break out from this indicator on smaller time frames. You can also see it. If the crypto markets sustain and keep climbing up, if Bitcoin is just retesting support and it's going to keep climbing up on this next wave, then these are my top picks for the week. SNX being the first one. I think this is going to be going up in the short term. And following that, you can also have these two go a little bit earlier or around the same time. But this is a 3-day window I'm tracking for all of these. And I think they all have potential to keep climbing up. So just wanted to share that. And then we also have one of the ones that goes later in the game, and I mean, you can clearly see this on the bottom, is, well, we have ARKM right now at the bottom, and then also Maker is one of the ones that does that too. Where's Maker? Maker's right here. It's all, bro, it's like always trading inverse to the markets. It's so weird. Maker, okay. Oh, yeah, and BNT was doing something weird the other day, too. It, like, pumped, like, over 100% very quickly. Dude, look at what I found on BNT, though. Bro, I was playing around with Paramount's chart. And by the way, Paramount, bro, that thing has... I'll show you guys what I'm tracking on that. We need to flip this, though. This right here, it's so weird. Like, when the markets are in different stages in the cycle, they repeat these types of patterns that play out in the markets over and over again, which is super weird, and it happens in the market too, in the stock market. Like, I'll tell you the two ones I've been noticing a lot recently are is this one here. And then you can kind of see the other one here a little bit too. It goes up like this. It creates that little arc formation, and then we call this one arc up. It looks like this. So it's like the AMC arc pattern, but instead of turning down here, it just keeps going up. And I right now IMX is actually in this formation. Why I'm bullish on IMX. Here. This is exactly what I'm talking about right here. You guys can clip me, man. Clip me on this. Right here, arc formation. This thing can come down a little bit to 102 right here, and then I'm very bullish on this. I think this is gonna start going back up in the next few days. But like, it's crazy because you go back, and you know, before the crypto market started to pump, we were looking at some of these other patterns, like we had, like the AMC. Back in November, like it did something like this, and then things would pump. It was so weird seeing all these patterns develop down here. Like, you look, bro. This was in October, by the way. Going into October, you can see it right here. Goes down, and here's the POI. Trade sideways, and then it starts popping again. Pepe was doing this. Ordinals was doing this. And then now we have this one, okay? And just to, like, show you guys why I think this is happening and this is true, you go back to the markets, and this is where it gets crazy. Paramount, which is one of the stocks I'm tracking right now to just to turn around, bro. After this is the pattern, bro. Look at this. So in 2021, 2020, right after the COVID thing, this thing just goes from 11 to 100. So it does a 10x. And then it dumps all the way back down. It takes 2 years, or almost 3 years to do it, right? We're going on 3 years. And then the crazy part about this, because we've been tracking upside for this, is in the recent times, like just recently here, there is one stock is called IBRX, And this stock just so happens to be doing the same thing. Like I took this pattern and overlaid it on top of Paramount, and tell me that doesn't look like Paramount, bro. And this is this year. Like this entire thing is this year. You go back to Paramount. Here it is, bro. Right there. Like, and the crazy thing about this is like, and why I don't think this is like an accident or anything is, you don't just get a pump like this. It comes down, it accumulates, or it distributes the same way, the same range. You have a parallel channel here that is just back and forth, and then coming down to these lows, it does the same thing. Like Paramount might come down one last time in December, and I think it's go time after that. You zoom out of the chart, and this makes sense too. Like, you know, going on the weekly, because this is just a big ass chart, dude. Dude. Okay. So it's just a descending channel, but if you, because this is just like a wick hanging, right? If you go on the monthly chart, it's just going to be a wick. All right? If you go on the I don't know, 2-month or 3-month, it's just resistant. Like that's a level that it came down to resistance. So you got to track it the same way. These are just levels that eventually the price comes up and reaches that price point again. Why I still think AMC is going to come back at some point. It's going to take some time. It takes some time, but here's classic, man. Pump and dump, comes back to lows in 2020, which is the same thing Paramount just did, and now we have patterns to back it up that this is going to come back up. And the reference patterns, dude, like they do work. I mean, like it's been proven time and time again. It's just like doing analysis in the markets. You're going to get them right sometimes. You're going to get them wrong sometimes. But I think they're a really good tool to track organically the levels, you know, those natural fibs that you would normally try and do with like a fib machine, right? Like this is just going to give that for you because it already happened in the market. And yeah, man, like this is calling for 54, which is absolutely insane. And yeah, I have a POI list for stocks as well. I have another 4 that I'm tracking. Which, yeah, by the way, guys, we do this all on the Discord every single day. That one is a new one. This one's a new one. But we have another 4 stocks we're tracking right now. I will say one of the biggest plays that we tracked just recently, and it was just using one indicator, dude. One indicator that we used was end phase. Okay. And this one caught to a T using levels. And I'm going to show you guys how this worked because this was just crazy. So, and using the options calculator and everything too, to spot the contracts and everything. But the correlation between end phase, just between how oversold it was in this territory, we looked back at the last 5 times that it was in that zone, and every single time it came up to the first band within 3 days. That was a correlation here, and you can see right here, as soon as it enters, this thing popped up and touched that first band. So 85, these contracts went from 25 cents to $6 in a matter of 3 days. Okay, and here's a correlation, right? You go back to a similar range. Here it took 3 days. Here it took 3 days. Come back here. Okay, it took about 5 days to reach that first band. Here it took 2 days. And then one of the ones that we were tracking the most was right here. So coming back from that wick took about 5 days. It did enter and trade sideways here for a little bit, but eventually it did come back up on the spring and did it in 5 days. So yeah, that was a correlation we found, was about 3 days. And yeah, man, this was just an awesome trade. Literally in 3 days, dude. 1, 2, 3, boom. First band hits resistance at 100, and now it's trading sideways. Not really interested in doing anything else right now because volatility already kicked in. But it's just an example of one of the trades based on just one indicator. It's called levels. Here's a range I use. And then this tool is really great with the changes indicator. Those two combined, man, just power tools. And then crypto, obviously crypto, we use something else. We use Volt, which is really good at for day trading purposes. So yeah, man, here we go. We got BNT here, basically doing the same thing. And I'm going to use BNT as well. Once it fully develops, it looks like this is going to come down to this pattern is not as accurate as the Paramount one. But based on this, it's telling me at least that at some point, once it maybe reaches the 60-cent range, because this thing went from 50 to $2, so it went up 200%. Is that 200%? Or is that 300%? I always get mixed with 200% and, no, it's 200%. And like 2x, 3, because 1x is 200%. 2x is 300%. I'm like, what? Bro, who did that? Why'd they do it like that? All right, so this comes down, and then at some point, maybe going into November time, I can kind of narrow that down to the possibility that this thing turns around, does something. But all these pump and dumps is what I'm saying, man. This pattern, it keeps repeating itself. We just had it happen on XRP a few days ago on the micro time frame. Again, pump and dump. What the heck, man? What's up with these markets, bro? Why is the algorithm just wanting to do this? I mean, it's an opportunity because I guarantee you, like, we're gonna see this pattern a lot more. You're gonna start to see it with some of these other cryptocurrencies, and it's just gonna pump very quickly. And then now you know that because it's been happening a lot with these other cryptocurrencies first, that it's probably gonna happen again. So I'd watch for that. Take it with a grain of salt. It's never financial advice, but it's just what I see, man. I see he's in the market. It's just doing it all the time when these patterns just repeat. Okay, Pepe. So I'm gonna show you guys, or not Pepe. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you guys one more play that I'm tracking, and it's on the Discord. We already talked about this one, but I think between Paramount and this other play, I think those two are my favorite ones in the mid to long term. And this one I've been doing a lot of analysis on. And look at how many patterns I have overlaid on this one, man. All right, watch this, bro. These are the candidates. Okay, so Nikola I think, has reached a bottom. And I think if it's not there yet, then I think it's very close. And I think that 50 cents was that's the low. Now the reason for this is this thing is a pellet. It's a massive spring, and we have been trading sideways now in this range since May. So I'm going to go one by one on the patterns that I'm tracking based on the structure of this. So why do I think that this is going to come back up with the markets? Because if the crypto markets have already accumulated and they're already starting to climb back up, once the markets start to come up, like that's just going to pump the crypto markets even further, which is insane. But I'm going to start off with the highest correlation right now between any of the patterns, because there's a lot. But the first one, and why it has the highest correlation, is because the amount of days compared to this pattern, the other ones are a little bit, they're a little bit more like fractals than they are one-to-one. And I think the one-to-one patterns are always better because it just shows that the algorithm on the daily chart is basically following the same structure and the same pattern. same volume ratio, everything like that. So GME is actually the highest correlation here, and I'm not gonna track like in the going into this, where GME squeezed and stuff. I'm not gonna track those levels in particular because I think the algorithm had done that, and I think GME is a very specific case. I something like GME happening again would probably take some time, and it would be harder in the markets just considering that things don't necessarily happen that same way anymore. Not that it can't happen, but I think it definitely, with the technology they have nowadays and to prevent stuff like that from happening, I think it would make it a lot harder. But that's not to say the price can't go up to these levels at all. And I agree with this, that going into next year, I think Nikola is going to be one of the better plays, I think. Here's just one pattern, again, showing us accumulation going into advancing. And then the second pattern that has the highest correlation is Carvana. Carvana we used on AMC before. Now, the difference between the Carvana pattern and AMC was that this was it was a fractal. And the problem with fractals on smaller time frames is that on smaller time frames, you have way more volatility. So you have a lot more room for these to just play out completely inverse. But on the larger time frames, which is the daily chart here, these are more accurate because, again, there's not that much volatility. And if the markets have already dumped and you're calling for upside, it's more likely that this is going to play out the way it's intended to. So we have Carvana, okay, calling for the same thing. Here's GME and Carvana overlaid on top of each other. Okay. And we also have Riot. We have Plug. Okay. Plug one, not my favorite. This one took almost 6 years to develop. So this pattern overlaid on top, it has a lot of similarities. Levels are hitting right and everything. And the POI even hits the same way, but it does. This is a lot of data for a chart here. So I think this one to track the same levels up here, not the highest correlation. And then we have Pepe, and Pepe is calling for upside a little bit sooner. And here it is, guys. Pepe already doing what the stock market hasn't. Okay, which is accumulating down here before climbing up in October. And the markets are kind of, they're getting ready for that, right? Here it is on top. I mean, guys, look. Look at this, dude. You can check things off here. And one thing I like to do is, like, I don't just overlay patterns, guys, on top. I mean, you got to look at the indicators. You got to look at the volume. One of the things that caught my eye on the Carvana correlation is the volume. Okay, the way the volume behaves on this, what we think to be accumulation down here, is very similar to the chart down here. Look, you see these? Okay, it's like they're spaced a little bit before, which is fine. For Nikola, it starts here, and then you guys already know what I preach about tracking reference patterns is that a lot of the sections and little phases that happen inside, they can happen anywhere in the sequence. So, this little section here could happen over here. As long as the algorithm is doing and distributing this volume in between that time window, which could be a year, could be 6 months, as long as that takes place and it distributes that volume correctly, then it's doing its job. And that's exactly what I see down here based on that. Okay, we have these very similar volume candles that are taking place right here, 1, 2, 3. And then once that's over, not only do we have the volume that's the same, but you can't really see this. But on the levels indicator, I try to. It's the only issue with the overlaying on this chart here. The Nikola chart comes up same way. It's oversold here on that fourth band. Okay, here it does it twice. That's fine, and then it comes down to the fourth or the first level, trades sideways in that level, and it does not cross below. Look at how close Nikola got, man. Okay, there's just a little wick right there, but it didn't even cross. It's on that It's on the first band, which is the same thing that happened right here, and then you have a surge in volume. So if things happen the same way, okay, then that means that Nikola should start climbing up, man. I mean, again, all these patterns are calling for that. Where's that indicator? Volume. Okay. Recently made this indicator down here. It shows the volume times price, which honestly sometimes just gives a better picture of like what the price should actually look like, because yeah, it should be based off of volume times price. It shouldn't just be like where the price is at, because then you get a lot of the, when you get splits and stuff, it kind of just messes with the chart. Or when you get dilution, it messes with the chart. And, volume is going to naturally balance that out. Price is less, you're going to get more volume. So this indicator kind of normalizes that data. And if we apply the same thing, now, mind you, this isn't like a one-to-one tracking, okay? We do have, this is a little bit bigger than the Carvana. Okay, so the volume indicator here is going to look a little different, but if it's adjusted based on the ratio, which we can do real quick, from the start to the end is 161, and then here from the start, which is, I believe, over here to here. Now we're expecting this to go up at some point, so it's very close. It's very close. But from where it starts climbing back up, it's about 144 or 114. I'm at around 150 and 110, so it's about a 1.5 to 1. So what is that? 1.5 divided by 1. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Smoothing 150. Smoothing 100. I should do it. There we go. Okay, so there it is. Same structure, you can see it. And the crazy part here is that this highlights when there is more selling and when there is more buying volume, which is also something we need. We need to know if there's more selling or more buying volume. And you can see the same thing. I mean, it comes down to the structure, which is kind of a pennant, and this pennant breaks up. And right here, it's getting ready to do it. So watching out for this, I think Nikola is going to go up, and if not this, if not by the end of the year, I think going into next year is going to be one of the bigger plays. I think they're on track to fix their reputation a little bit from what happened in 2020. So, now that things are handled by a new CEO and other stuff, fundamentally speaking, not that it matters so much, but I think they're getting ready to kind of turn around a little bit, Let me answer some questions here. Let me see. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do here, man. Is it's not. I'm trying to 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 preach right about like not being uh you know, AMC is I think is an opportunity. It's brought up more than anything. I can't be more thankful for what AMC has taught me in the markets, and I'm trying to preach that too. Here is that without AMC, I wouldn't be doing this whole cycle analysis thing and taking that approach with the market. So I'm very thankful for that. But am I going to be just trading AMC? No, because just like any other stock in the market, there's a lot of volatility and can't just be waiting for one stock to turn around and do its thing. Do I think it's going to turn around? Yeah, and I went over it very briefly here in earlier on the stream, but I think AMC is. So here is the right now, guys. There's one pattern I'm tracking, and that's it. I'm not the only other pattern that is still on track is ARPA, and ARPA was calling for downside up until this point, which is like you can see where the POI. This is the crazy freaking thing about ARPA, man. Like, um, crazy thing, man, is that so here are the POIs, guys. You know how this works. It goes up and down like that. And then right here in this point where the price flips, you take a look at the cycle. This is the crazy part, man. Let's see if it adjusts. Should have done it. Yeah. So the crazy thing about this is that it does hit the POIs here, like on the cycles, which is crazy. Like it lands very close to the 12-day window, like right here, for example. So based on this too, and some of the other fractals that I'm tracking, I like this section here. I like how much correlation there is between the only two patterns I'm tracking right now, which is NVAX and ARPA. Saying that there's correlation in February, and I already have it on the list to when I have potentially the next point of interest on AMC is going to be tracking in February. And until then, I'm staying very strict on what I mention every time, unless there is multiple patterns calling for upside, even if it's outside the point of interest, because we've seen that happen before once. But I don't like trading outside the POI. I don't like trading outside of it. So going up to it, will the next one be upside? It could be, but I don't think we're going to get it, unfortunately, in December. I think that going into it, if anything, I would be tracking the one in February, going into March. And I think this next one is going to be flat. The only reason for this, guys, is taking a look back at December of 2020. It's doing the same thing. It trades sideways for quite some time before turning around. And we already looked at this, this pump and dump thing here with some of the other stocks. Well, actually, one I didn't mention that I was looking at yesterday was actually IMX. And it's just to show you guys how this pump and dump thing works. But I want to look at this here because I thought this is what AMC is basically doing right now. Looking at levels. You guys see that? Here's IMX down here. And here's AMC up here, right? So you come up December time, right? This is January. It comes up. Actually, let's just take AMC. I always divide it, guys, because if you don't, the scaling is always weird. I don't know why, but the scaling is messed up on trading view. If the numbers are high, right? Like not if it's but that's one way to do it. Like I can't put any chart on Pepe's chart without having I have to divide the chart by like 1,000 or else it just doesn't fit. You gotta go on log. It's like annoying, but look at that, right? So here it is, AMC, the same thing, right? It's a pump and dump, comes down, and then what happens, right? It trades sideways for quite some time before turning around, and it's not even like this doesn't it doesn't mean that we're here in the cycle. Like this could be, it could be like that too, but it's at this point it's more of a guessing game than it is anything else because the cycle is not supposed to tell you when we're going to see a certain price point. It's just supposed to narrow down when the possibility opens up for that to happen. But it's never like, hey, we're going to squeeze on this date because that's what the cycle says. No, it just maybe that's where we could start to turn around. But right now, the amount of times that the volatility has played out inverse it just suggests that the price will trade sideways for a little bit. And I think what they're trying to do here is just like the cycle of emotions, right? They're pumping it, they're dumping it. And this stage right here is the forget stage, which means they want people to just forget it. They want people to forget AMC and just not talk about it and basically give up on it. And that's the ugly thing about the markets. It's just the way it works. And then at that point, it's like you're basically down 100%, right? And then things start turning around. And it's like that is by definition the crypto markets. That's how the crypto markets work. But it does happen in the markets a lot too, in the stock market. And yeah, I mean, like stocks pump and dump, man. I pulled up NVAX earlier today. How many times within I'm going to go on the weekly chart for this, but how many times since 1996 has NVAX pumped and dumped? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, like 6 times in over 20 years. Yeah, in 20 years, 6 times has the price pumped and dumped. AMC is going on 3 years, not seeing upside. It's just on a downtrend. So this is the stock I'm tracking for correlation between the two. But you can kind of see some similarities between the two in that in 2015 it pumps and then it takes about almost 5 years for it to fully come back to those levels. So yeah, I mean, but aside from the cycle and everything, if you're going to see things turn around like that, if the cycle is going to want it to turn around, I don't think it would just turn around for no reason. There has to be some something to back it up, something to fit the narrative first, before the algorithm decides to do that, and then it becomes an opportunity, man. But you track it, until it hits, and until then you look at the entire market, everything else, because there's not just one opportunity. Okay, there's thousands of opportunity, and that won't change, man. It won't change. It's just there's gonna be a lot of opportunities in the market. That's just the way it works. Rally. Yeah. Let me go over some of these other questions. I had some other questions here. Echo, let me know, man, if you I did go over crypto, but let me know if you have any questions specifically on any cryptocurrencies. Yeah, Doge, man. So, and this is a good question because Doge is dog. I gotta look on this chart. So Doge, okay, is in my opinion also in a stage of accumulation. The only issue here, and the reason why this is not my first pick, is because uh, looking at the chart. So there's a lot of charts right now that look like this. Whenever there is, like, if you take a look at the entire market, most of the stocks that are climbing right now have already came down to previous levels of support, if not created all-time lows. And a lot of these cryptocurrencies are also, they're either extremely old, like they're from like 2018, or they're newer cryptocurrencies like ordinals. And those are the ones that are being pumped right now, getting ready to be, rugged. So there's always an opportunity as well when the markets peak for downside. But the thing about Doge though is because it's like the basically the first meme coin. It has a lot of good reputation in that it's treated like Bitcoin as a commodity, being a meme coin, and it has a lot of people backing it up. So it's top 10 on with market cap in the crypto markets. So a lot of people on this, extremely diluted. So I mean, it's going to take a lot of pressure to bring it down, anyways. And the reason why I would be bullish in the long term on this is if the markets do start pumping up, if they sustain themselves, I think Doge is going to keep climbing up from here, and it's going to go. And I think it's one of the, I know it's a meme coin, but I do think that this is going to be even safer than, say, one of the newer coins like Ordinals or even Pepe. Like those are going to be, crazy volatility. But I think past this point that it has pumped and has accumulated so many coins, right? On this range coming down, a lot of big companies and stuff. You got Elon Musk backing this up. So there's just so much money in this, extremely diluted, that it is one of the, even though it's a meme coin, it's one of the safer ones. And yeah, as long as the crypto markets start pumping up, this one should. I'll say right now, one of the patterns that I would be tracking for correlation here is Lucid or Litecoin, which both have a very similar chart. Now, I think for this, I'm going to use Litecoin because, yeah, it's just better for this. But basically, Litecoin has done this already. Coming back to it, this is 2021. Litecoin did this in 2018. So you got to go to the whole like rinse and repeat thing, right? I'm not saying that it's going to follow this to a T at all, but I just want to spot and show you where I think specifically Doge is, because with these patterns, it's like they're going to be different patterns in the entire market. If the entire market is bullish, I think in some form of way you're still going to get a very different like macro pattern on every stock, right? Like the markets were bullish here, and you have Litecoin creating this like cup, right? Or like this double bottom formation, which is, I think on Doge it looks more like a cup. And part of it though is, so it dumps very quickly. Litecoin doesn't have that much volatility compared to Doge, so that kind of makes sense. But you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Is like it dumps, trades sideways, accumulates, and the crypto markets start to pump going into next year, which would make Doge a good candidate here to pump back to all-time highs. And so also we looked at all-in-one indicator right now, which is saying that in the short term, Doge has like I showed you guys the POIs that I'm tracking in the next few days. One I didn't put in there. The only reason I track those POIs specifically is because I think those have a higher return, probability of a higher return in the short term. I think Doge is going to be pumping again here soon. But it's like you got to look at the crypto markets is like, if you're somebody that's doing like spot trading where you're just buying the cryptocurrency, or you're doing leverage trading, they're very completely different things. So if somebody's just buying Doge versus doing leverage trading, which is, you can compare it to buying stock and doing options, is that's probably the better way to do it, because there's really no options available on most brokers for crypto, and if there is, it's probably just for Bitcoin and Ethereum, the bigger things. But I think there's just more potential for some of these other cryptocurrencies. Not that Doge can't come up to these levels. I think it will, but these guys have already ran up to pretty insane levels. And for example, on ordinals, right? This thing just went up 10x in a month. Whereas for Doge, sure, it can go up 10x, but it's probably going to take a year. So that's the difference, is that some of these do it a lot sooner. They're newer. There's not a lot of attention on these. And they're kind of, they're just not really talked about until they're getting ready to come down. And that's kind of what we go over on the Discord, is just we look at these plays and talk about them. Again, I'll pull up the POI list I have here for the next few days. These are 3 cryptocurrencies that I'm tracking to climb in the next few days. As long as the crypto markets are heading up, I think these are the big ones to go up soon. So just a little cheat sheet. You guys do your own analysis and DD on this, but this is just what I got tracking in the next few days for that. For the market, I talked about a few. I got another 2 that I'm tracking, but very similar to it, guys. We use the all-in-one indicator to track which stocks are oversold, which ones are overbought. Like if they're extremely overbought, like what this is another way you can kind of look at things here a little bit, is a way that, because the algorithms, when they're rinsing and repeating, a lot of the times they're going to pump these stocks to a very similar range. And that is just enough to tell you, historically speaking, right, if something is oversold or overbought. So just looking at Big right here, it went up 4,000%, okay, on the daily chart here with the parameters I'm using, 4,000, which this is what I do, man. This is how I crack them down. This is how I figure it out. Okay, if it's at 4,000%, and we look at certain periods in the market where this has happened before, okay, we've seen it happen with Mara. Okay, right here, it comes up. Does it take the same time? Yeah, like I know this is like weird, bro, but like because you can't take a bars pattern of it. And then I'm over here trying to find where there's correlation in time and how I can correlate that. So now that I know that Mara went up in August of 2015, 2022, and that's where it peaked, and then it started to climb down there. It went up a similar percentage range than Big here. So now, with that information, you go back, you go to Mara, take good old Mara, August of 2022. You take this pattern, and then you go to Big. And why you climbing up, bro? Why you climbing up like that? And bada bing, bada boom, baby. We have ourselves a match. And how did I do that? Using one indicator. And this isn't even like this is like a manual way to do cycle like pattern matching, which is the one of the programs that we have right now that is still in development that finds patterns for you. This is a manual way to do it. I have 100 stocks in here. I do it with crypto as well. I have 100 in here, and this is one way I do it with the crypto. You can do it on any time frame. It's still going to show you similar values if you're looking at a certain range here. Even if I go on the the 2-hour time frame, okay, it's not going to go up to 4,000 anymore because now it's tracking less bars. It's comparing less bars, but the same. It's not going to change the correlation. You go back to, where is it? Back here. Mara's right here. Where is it? Oh, it's back here. No, where is it? Over here. August. Okay, so the percentage between the two here, because Big did it a lot quicker, and I'm still tracking 1,000. I'm tracking 1,000 bars on the. So it is a little different, just because it does take into account the what happens in the past historically. But if I only did, this is where we would get the same values, and I'm going to show you guys here. If I only did 300, I'm going to do 300 bars because we're going to get a better match that way. If I'm only tracking 300, okay, this is still going to be going up. You got to do it for all of them. And this should give me a very similar. Where's August? August 2022, 232%. So you start to see it a little bit more. I think, yeah. So with BBIG's chart, and it just or BBIG, this is big. It just pumped like crazy. Like October 6th to let's see, October 24th. So what I'm gonna do is I need to see the timing here. This is, I believe, not 1-to-1. So here's the pattern, and 2-hour. Let's see, because if it's not the same time, not that it's not relevant, but it's the correlation's not going to be the same if I. How many bars is it from the bottom? How many days? 45 days, and I was on 2-hour, 300. Okay, so it's about half. That's the problem, and that's why I'm not getting the same value. So I got to go to the Mara, and they're not on the same one, so that's good. And then just change it to 150, because that's you got to track it based on the time. That's why fractals, guys, and like they will change so quickly. Bars back. Am I doing the math right, dude? I'm not doing this right. 160 bars. How many is it here? It's probably not even 160. Oh, it's on a 2-hour. Hold up. Okay, no, it is this. Is it? Bro, is it the same? 45 days? Oh my god, it is the same. Hey, this tracking is the same. You know what? I don't know why I did that. This was correct from the start, bro. Okay, it's because it took into account the daily chart instead, which is fine. I mean, regardless of that, you're gonna get different values. Different values. Throughout any time frame you choose. It's weird. It took into account 1,000 bars, so it must have been 1,000 days, and that I mean, guys, look at the correlation though between the two. That's insane. That pattern is the same, and it's the same days as well. So this is 1-to-1, man. Wow. Okay. Well, that is just to show you, man, that I mean, we'll keep tracking this one here, but uh, potential for downside on big, um, based on that. 45 days, 45 days, exactly, man. 45 days. Jeez. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, guys. Well, just wanted to showcase a little bit here how this stuff works, the indicators, and all that good stuff. Remember, you guys always got access to this on the link below, and it's all in the Discord, man. Check it out if you got some free time. But we'll leave it there for today. I do plan on going live and making some videos here, talking about the markets, man. Again, I'm trying to, expand a little bit, right? You talk about everything and all these opportunities that are coming up. So stay tuned. All right, guys, make sure you subscribe and like the video if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next stream, guys. All right.